Welcome back to I Love. I am Podan. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the upcoming Flash movie. Comes out on June 16th. I want to give a little overview of the comics that the whole story's based on, my interpretations of what's going to be different in the movie, and my hopes for the outcome of the movie. Oh yeah! That's right. Oh, Podan. Don't you think that I would be best to discuss this information, that it was actually us that discovered? Oh, yes, I believe so. So I will discuss and explain the comics that this new Flash movie is going to be based on, the beats of those comic stories that are important, and how they're going to differ in this movie. Oh, yeah! So let's get right into it in a flash. All right. First, we're going to discuss all the comic book graphic novel versions that are important, that would lead us to Flashpoint, and I think would be important if you want to read and catch up to where we're getting to with the movie. Oh yes. So, first book and time of importance. 1985, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Important because this is when Barry Allen the Flash dies. Oh yes. Next, 2009, we get The Flash Rebirth. This, oh my god, Barry Allen comes back. That's right. After all those years, he finally comes back. Oh yeah. A very important side note is Time Master's Vanishing Point. This occurs in 2010. This story has a little note that predicts Flashpoint. 2011, the next one is Flash, The Road to Flashpoint. This is where Barry finally learns who's responsible for his mother's death. Oh, I'll give you a hint. It's yellow. And of course, later in 2011, the most important one, Flashpoint. Everything changes. And this is, of course, the story that our movie that's coming out June 16th is going to be based on. Oh yeah. Now let's check out the beats of each of these stories in a little quick detail of how we get to Flashpoint and what's important in them. Oh yeah. Now, let's get into the beats of all of those comics in quick, fine detail, so that way you understand why they're each important and what occurs along the way. So, the first instance in 85, of course, is the Flash dies in the Crisis of Infinite Earths. Now, this is important. He sacrifices himself to help stop the Anti-Monitor, and he is replaced by Wally West as the Flash for many years. Then, fast forward to Barry Allen coming back as the Flash in Flash Rebirth. This rebirth is, of course, caused by an intervention of a man in yellow. More later on. Next, in 2010, the Time Masters, that's right, they return to Vanishing Point to find something important. What's this? Oh my god. That's right. That blackboard is important because it predicts Flashpoint, and that the Flash could be responsible for destroying the entire universe that they know. Oh man. Now, Reverse Flash or Zoom reveals he is responsible for Barry's mother's murder. That's right. This, of course, occurs in The Road to Flashpoint. This is how I am involved. Oh, yes. Because In the future, I realize that if Barry doesn't exist, I cannot exist. So I put into motion events that would bring him back to life, and then he would intervene and separate our existences from one another. That's right. A lot to digest, but that is the agenda of the Reverse Flash at this point. Now, Flash goes back in time. Now, this does not occur immediately in Flashpoint. It is only hinted at, but you figure it out in the middle of the comic book. He goes back in time, that's right, to prevent Reverse Flash from killing his mother, unknowingly changing the course of time of everything and everyone. That is correct. Now, after this, Barry reawakens in the present. He sees his mother and slowly notices everything has changed. But not only for the Flash, but all heroes, as I said. After sort of awakening in this Flashpoint, of course we will call it, because that is what this new universe is called after he changes history. He realizes that there is actually a world war going on. Sad news, everybody. The Atlanteans and the Amazonians hate each other, and they are having a world war. This is sort of the big, wow, what is going on in this universe? I have to fix everything before everything falls to pieces. It's our ticking doomsday clock, if you would. Very, very cool, and this will be important when we discuss how this plays into the movie. Now, Flash must get help and set things right. Goes to find his Justice League friends, Batman and Superman. Finding Thomas Wayne is actually Batman. Barry soon learns that Bruce was killed in the alley in this universe. Together, they find Superman is locked in a facility, starved of sunlight. That is right. Clark was not found by the Kents in Smallville. In this universe, he crashed in Metropolis and was locked away in a government facility for testing. Oh man, darkness of the Flashpoint universe. Barry, how dare you change things? Now, after they free this locked up Superman, they battle and defeat Reverse Flash. This is pretty awesome. But then Barry realizes that he cannot save this universe, or his mother finally, so this is when he gets back into the Speed Force to stop himself from saving his mother's life. Because I guess this is one of those moments like Batman himself learns that, you know, even strife has its values in our growth in life. But, important note, after this is done, this is where we get the New 52 comics. Now, I mentioned in the last video where I talk about, you know, comics and all that stuff and reboots, this was extremely important. A few key notes of importance is that this is the first time DC Comics were put back to the number ones in forever, I believe, actually. They never went back to one. And, of course, there are over 20 movies that are based on animated films on the New 52 universe. Those styles and storylines, oh yes. So very cool that this all happened. And then, of course, later it all reboots again. But those are all of the important parts of note. There is one extra I want to add in before we go to the thoughts of how these are going to differ in the movie. When Barry first gets to Flashpoint, when you time travel, if you stay in a universe, in comics that is, you start to forget. Your memories sort of collapse on each other, and sort of you forget who you were, and you sort of become who you are in this new universe. When this occurs in Flashpoint, Barry loses his powers. Together, Batman and him have to get his powers back. He almost dies, kills himself, and comes back. I don't know if this is going to happen. The things that look similar to this in the trailer, I believe, are going to be something more along the lines of giving the other Barry powers, not get his back. Very cool, but we will see. Now, let's get into how these events are going to differ in the movie based on, of course, just the trailers. I haven't seen the movie yet. Oh, yeah. Now, let's talk about some predictions. Something that I have actually excelled at quite a bit, I feel like. So let's do it for once, finally. Finally, for a movie like The Flash, where I think I know quite a bit. So, based on what I've seen from the trailers, and I think that this is going to be important for people who are wondering themselves how this movie is going to be different from the actual comics. First of all, in the comics, Barry, of course, goes back in time to prevent his mother's death. I do not believe that this is what we're going to see in this movie. I think Barry is going to enter the Speed Force to find an alternate universe where his mother has simply not been killed or died. And this is how he's going to stumble on other Barry, and all of this stuff is going to ensue. A little different, but I think it's going to work just fine. Oh, yes. Of course, when Barry gets to Flashpoint, there is the Amazonian and Atlantean war going on that is our Doomsday Clock. What will be the Doomsday Clock in this movie? I believe that this will be General Zod's invasion. How does this work, you may ask? Well, of course, in Man of Steel, Clark is here, and so is Superman. So he stops it. I have a feeling that the way this is going to play out is on this Earth, when he stumbles upon his mom, is going to happen to coincide at the moment when Zod attacks Earth. But Clark is not there. Kara happened to land on Earth, and she happened to be locked in a facility. So this is where we get to go down that route, and instead of saving Clark, Batman and Flashes will save her, and she will replace Flashman in this story. And I think that this will work just fine, due to the fact that Superman doesn't even look like Superman in Flashpoint. In Flashpoint, Superman isn't big and strong. He's actually feeble and tiny, more like a Steve Rogers. I believe that's the name, right? Steve Rogers? Yes, Steve Rogers from Captain America. And he's very tiny and feeble, so if they did use Superman, he would have had to have been a different actor anyways. So I think it's a nice touch to add Supergirl in live action instead. Let's do this. Now, Flash and Barry, we're going to call him, are going to team up and to find Batman and Superman. Because, see, on this planet, instead of, being Reverse Flash, I believe, in the story, we're just going to have another version of him. Because he's just going to, go through the multiverse to find a planet where his mother has not died, not travel back in time on his own planet. Little different, but I think this is fine. So, when they team up and go find Batman, this is where they're going to find an old retired Bruce Wayne. One that we all see and it looks familiar, which is kind of cool. Because, Tim Burton movies were always thought of as a little bit darker. So we will get the Michael Keaton Batman here. And now he's going to be, I think, pseudo sort of combination playing and Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman. And sort of a Batman Beyond old retired Bruce Wayne. I think that could be cool. Maybe even a little bit of Dark Knight Batman that's retired and maybe coming back to help out, one last time, one hurrah, which is going to be awesome. Of course, there is not a Clark or a Superman. This is going to be Kara. After Batman, Bruce Wayne decides to help them, this is who they are going to find, not Superman. Supergirl. Oh, yes. Now, they're going to go and find Supergirl in the facility. They're going to free her. I believe that the idea here is very similar to Flashpoint. When they free her, this is what's just going to basically make her be like, wow, these people help me for absolutely no reason, so I should help them in their cause. And then this is where we're going to get the big showdown with Zod. Oh, yes. So now we're going to have to stop that world ender, remember, because his ultimate goal was to terraform Earth to make a new Krypton. If he achieves this, the entire planet will be destroyed, very much like the World War with the Amazonians and the Atlanteans in the Flashpoint books. Now, an extra speculation, because I have no idea how it's going to, of course, turn out. But at this point in the story in Flashpoint, basically what ends up occurring is that Barry realizes he can't stay here, and he cannot save the world that he's in. Everything basically falls to pieces, a lot of people die, and I believe that the world itself is destroyed, so Barry has to jump back into the Speed Force. I don't know if they're going to do that, but it is a possibility that they are not strong enough or able to stop Zod's world engine in time. That could be a cool twist, that they actually fail and he has to, go back to where he left. And then, when he gets back, all these events have changed everything for this new universe. Could be cool. And of course, there are some questions to have, like question speculations. Will one of the Barrys take the place of the Man in Yellow, Reverse Flash, the villain Flash who causes everything? Will Barry himself be this kind of pseudo-Reverse Flash for the film? Will they not even go there? Will it just be Barry, Supergirl, and Batman? Oh yeah. Fantastic. All this stuff is going to be amazing. I think that I'm very close to what the movie's going to be. Quick rundown of the characters and what they're going to be. Remember, we have Barry and Barry. That's going to be Flash and Flash, or possibly a Flash and Reverse Flash situation. We have Supergirl in this movie. She's going to take the place of Superman in the Flashpoint story. This is going to be fantastic. We're going to have Michael Keaton's Batman taking the place of course, Batman from Flashpoint, who was Thomas Wayne. This is going to be really cool. Also of note is that the Batfleck, Ben Affleck's Batman, if you didn't notice in the trailer, he's sporting gray and blue. I actually think there's a reason for this, because at this time in the story, he is the leader of the Justice League. No more darkness, guys. He needs to be a source of hope and light. So now he has the colors from when I was a kid. Gray and blue. Gray and blue. How cool is that to see in live action? It looks really cool. If you didn't notice it, check that trailer again because it looks awesome. And of course, Zod replacing the Amazonians and the Atlanteans in their war. Fantastic. Oh man. So much awesomeness. If they pull this off, this could be the best DC Snyder, verse movie. And like I was saying in my last video again, it might not be like an actual ending. It could be more like just, this is the stopgap before we keep going. If you want, you can go back and watch everything, or you can just keep going because this is what Flash causes. And that, of course, is an important note. Are they going to go there? Will the movie sort of end in the way that sends us to the new Gunverse, these new DC movies that are coming? Or will it sort of end in just, oh, Barry's back, and now we aren't really going to go anywhere? It's just going to end kind of normal, still within the Snyderverse. We'll have to see. Now, comments down below. I would love to know, what do you think of the Flash film, before you see it? Do you have any speculations that would disagree with what I have thought out here and what I think we're going to see in this movie? I would love to hear it in the comments down below. That would be awesome. It's always fun to talk about these movies. As I said, it comes out on the 16th. This coming weekend, we're going to see it, The Flash. And of course, we also, just to throw it out there, it's not the actual end of the Snyderverse, because we still have Aquaman coming. So we're going to get that sequel to see where that ends up going. Maybe The Trench, maybe Black Mantis, maybe some more Orm. We'll have to see. Oh, yes. And of course, before we go, there are some leaked, I want to just throw them out there, spoiler possibility cameos that possibly will show up in the film when Barry's traveling through the multiverses. Let's throw those out there. So it's been rumored that Adam West's Batman, his universe will be seen. Linda Carter's Wonder Woman universe is going to be seen. Nicolas Cage's Superman Lives universe will be seen. If this is seen, it's going to be insane and so funny and awesome to see. And it's supposedly been leaked that George Clooney's Batman is going to be seen as well. That could be pretty crazy, and I think could be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see this movie. It's going to be fantastic. As always, like, subscribe, and I'll see you